Hello, good afternoon on this Tuesday, November the 18th. Your life is full of stories, and that's what makes you unique in your business. Those experiences and opinions and values are the sum of you. I'm Helen Harwood Snell. I'm an expert storyteller and certified communication coach, and I show you how to embrace stories to be seen, to create trust, and close more sales. If you're struggling with confidence in your messaging or how to stand out in the crowd, storytelling might be for you. Each week, I introduce to you a new guest. We learn a little bit about their business and their personality. And then I ask them to share a story that we can turn into a business story that they can use live right here. So if you're watching live, please say hello. If you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag replay and let me know that you have watched. So today we are joined by Luciana Stan. Luciana helps people heal on a cellular level. So mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual, because true healing happens when every part of you comes back into harmony. And she brings with her a host of training in things like osteopathy, craniosacral therapy. She's an NLP practitioner, timeline therapy, hypnosis, Reiki, you name it. She's studied it, including shamanic healing. So the value that she brings is the ability to help people understand why they feel stuck or anxious or disconnected, and how to finally release the emotional baggage that's been living in their body and their mind and their nervous system for years. I can't wait to dig into this topic. Welcome, Luciana.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. I really, really love your stories, so I'm grateful for being here.
Oh, fantastic. Well, let's get started with some of the fun stuff. So, I always like to dig in a little bit to who you are as a person first, because that affects so much of how you show up in your work. So, tell me about Luciana. What do you do for fun when you're not working?
What do I do for fun when I'm not working? I'm taking Argentinian tango lessons.
I love it.
I always loved that. I was resonating with the music for the longest time. And what I actually discover is that it's so much feelings, emotions, and connections first with yourself, and after that with your partner in this Argentinian tango. So I call it the actual meditation in motion.
I love that. And what's the difference between Argentinian tango and what we may know of as normal tango?
Well, the normal tango is more like a ballroom tango.
Mm-hmm.
Argentinian, it has a certain movements. The connection with the partner, it's different, and the movement of the feet and all that. So it's, if you are not in unity, you literally can fall on each other.
For sure. And have you always been a dancer? Is that something in your past as well?
No, well, I always loved to dance, and I love the salsa, and I love the merengue, and I love that. My mom taught me how to dance since I was very little, even waltz and tango. But I think that this Argentinian tango music, uh, somehow it's in my blood because I loved it for a long time ago. I wished to learn it for many years. I wanted to go to Argentina to actually experience it. And just last year I started. So I'm really enjoying it.
That's wonderful. And what else do you do when you're not dancing? Do you enjoy time with dogs or family or in nature or learning? What else do you like to do?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. So it's well, I love the nature, and I love the walks, and like it's in nature and breathing that fresh air. Doesn't matter if it's cold or warm. But also, what I love, and it was a passion since I was very little, it was figure skating, and that's why actually my daughter who had a huge career in figure skating. So even if now she's not competing, I'm still watching figure skating, all the competitions, not missing one.
Oh, that's so fun. And were you a skater yourself?
I skated in Romania. It's just that in Romania at that time, we didn't have coaches. We have only one skating rink. So I learned certain figures actually just watching TV and watching that blade, touching the eye. So I was fascinated by it.
Amazing, amazing. And so, what age were you when you kind of first took up that love of figure skating, and how long did that take you?
Well, like I was little. Like I started from probably 6, 7 years old because I remember my grandpa, seeing me in on that big ring the ice very busy because in Romania you could not skate, like it is just with a few or with your age. So it was a older and younger, and he was sometimes like putting his hands on his face to cover up. I hope no one is crashing into her. So I remember
Yeah. Oh,
moments. Yes,
exactly.
yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And so, with all of that, tell me maybe two or three of your core values in life as well.
Core values: integrity. It's the very first one.
Mm-hmm.
Honesty. It's the second, and trust.
Mm-hmm.
Trust in yourself.
Awesome. That's those are pretty solid, especially for the work that you do. So we're going to get into that next. So tell me, first of all, with all of those different modalities that you have discovered, what's been the biggest influence in your work that's kind of led you to what you're doing today?
Well, actually, the biggest influence was when I started as craniosacral and osteopath. Was very interesting because I always had that calling to help people since I was very little. And I was telling my mom that I want to help people, even if I didn't have an idea, like what and how. And, those was missing. And since I was very little, also I was reading affirmations books or motivational codes instead of novels like the other kids. And when I was first arriving in Canada, looking for what my soul was searching for, like actually to help others, because originally I wanted to be a surgeon in Romania, but with all that was going on 30 years down the line, a woman in Romania to become a very successful surgeon, there were not that many, possibilities. So my mom convinced me that, it's better to do something else, but I wasn't happy. So when I got here in Canada, I search and search, first of all, for my soul, for my healing after all that trauma of coming from Romania. And the first steps that actually my Reiki master showed me, it was the craniosacral therapy. And I fall in love with it. I find it that it's so gentle and yet so powerful. And my realization was when I saw that it's just by working hands on, we can not only help the physical body, but also the emotional
Mm.
stored deep inside in deeper layers of the physical.
So tell me a bit more about what cranial sacral therapy actually, um, like how that actually looks in a therapy session.
Yes, so craniosacral therapy or osteopathy. So first, what we are looking for, it's what is called a craniorhythm. And this craniorhythm is generated by the flow of the cerebrospinal fluid. So exactly how, for example, the traditional Chinese medicine, they are listening to the pulse, and based on the pulse, they get an idea right away and they read what's going on inside the body.
Okay.
We saw such as listening stations where I'm listening to with my hands, where the blockages are in the body, and the cerebrospinal fluid that generates this motion in the body, when it's a blockage, it's not moving properly. So that's are the first steps, of assessing the body. And after we have different positions from the cranium, because that's why it's called craniosacral or osteopathy, all the way down to the sacrum to release it.
Okay.
Different than chiropractic or massage because we are not twisting bones, or it's very, very subtle. And there is where the fascia can be affected, any organ it can be affected, or as I said, um, deep trauma that was stored for many years in the body.
Right. And so you might say that, with that hope that you had to help people with surgery, you learned a technique to help people just like with your hands in a very different fashion, that you found that you could bring healing to people in a very different way than you knew was possible, and that's kind of what set you on the path to what you're doing now.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Um, and so tell the audience now a little bit about where you're at in your business and what your kind of who your primary customer is and what it is that you do to help them in all of these modalities of physical, mental, spiritual, physical, how that all works.
Of course. So that was the story, was that it's with craniosacral, some of the advanced levels, they are also somato-emotional release. And there is where we observe that we can help releasing the emotional trauma, not only physical, but with the somato-emotional release, the person was going into too much of re-experiencing the trauma, which I didn't agree with or accept it, and that is what made me search for more modalities that they are faster, more effective, and without putting the person in the trauma that they already experienced years.
Mm-hmm.
So there is where I went and I study all the other modalities so that to be able to help the person to release it, not only physically, because if we don't release it at the unconscious level, neurologically into the body and energetically, the physical symptom comes back. So they may feel good for a while, but after, the physical symptom comes back. But the moment that we approach it from all these three angles, complete healing is happening. And I observe that literally from people that they come, and because you ask me what I'm addressing right now or who I'm working with as a niche,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
um, my niche are women that maybe suffer trauma or abuse as a young age, or even in a relationship. And what made me go for that is because I work with women that they will come to me either with a temporomandibular joint dysfunction, which it's clear a physical issue, but when we started to work, it was a deep, deep trauma that was never expressed. Or with other women, that they presented originally with a physical issue, and when we, peel off the layers of the onion, it was the emotion. So that is
Mm-hmm.
made me, work more with them to help them move from heartbroken to empowered. And of
Mm-hmm.
course also with the children, the reason that I'm saying that children's and teenagers and even newborns, because they may face trauma either at birth or the mom carrying them, they've been through abuse either like physical or emotional, and they carry all that at the unconscious level and also neurologically, even if we do not realize.
Mm-hmm. And so give me an example then of how that might work if you're working with, I'm sure a lot of the listeners understand what chiropractic care is, or osteopathy, or even, fascial release. So when you're working on something at that physical level, how do you incorporate the subconscious into that? Do you do that at the same time, or is it kind of some coaching and then some physical movement? How do you incorporate that all together?
So, how it's incorporated as I work with them physically, because it's very subtle and very gentle. I guide them into the process of releasing it at the unconscious level.
Okay.
That is one aspect. And also separately, because I would love to be magician and just to solve it in one time, uh, but separately works with the other methods in which it's a very gentle touch. Like it's hard to describe it, right? But I describe it to
Yeah.
them before I actually do it, so they will not be
Right.
surprised. Yeah.
Okay. So you're kind of using things like the power of suggestion and different guides and things like that to help talk them through the process to release the trauma while you're doing the physical manipulation, let's say, of the body. So okay, that's very interesting. And in the practice, do you find, is there resistance for people to kind of make that association of emotional trauma with the physical? Do you find that people are resistant to that?
Absolutely. They are, like, it's always when they show up, and through the questions that I ask, I learn to listen beyond what they are actually telling me.
Mm.
And then I present to them that, I see it, that it's much more than a physical issue. And I tell them that I have many tools in my toolbox with which I can help them if they are open for deep healing. And some of them, they are really open, they resonate with me right away, and they are open. And some of them, they say, no, for now I just want to resolve this back pain. And even if I explain to them, this back pain can be actually a fear of you not moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you will release it for the moment, but it may come back. So
Yes.
yeah, I see both.
Yeah. And in terms of that too, I'm curious, when we've held trauma in the body for so long, like if it's something that happened to us as a young child or even as a teenager, and now, we're finding ourselves in our 50s or 60s, if it's been in the body for that long, I'm also assuming it's going to take some time to get it out. It's not going to be a miracle treatment that you're going to overcome all of that and release the trauma. It does it take a few sessions and some continued effort to help release that?
Absolutely. Like I always tell them, look, like that is the situation, like give me four, if not a session. A lot of them, they ask, oh, so how long it will take? And that is from a phone conversation. I said, unless I see you, let me go with the first session to see what the body is telling me, what's going on. I cannot tell you exactly how long it takes. And what is very important, their commitment.
Yeah.
Their commitment to be open to release, right? Some of them, I observe that even if somehow they want to feel better, they have the secondary gain of that problem, because at the subconscious level, they are afraid, who are they without it? And that is deep. And
Yeah.
I feel very, very happy and grateful when I can help them overpass that and release that, and actually deep healing occurs.
Yeah, that's such an interesting point that you make, because whether it's positive or negative, if we've held on to something for so long in our lives, it's like I've been a nurse for 35 years, and then all of a sudden you're retired. What are you? How do you kind of describe yourself? A lot of
Mhm.
people really tie their identity into their career, but in the same way, if you've held something in your body, whether it's trauma or not, it becomes part of who you are. And so that's very interesting that it would be, or it could be, fearful to let that go, even though it's not serving you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So in that light, I think this is a perfect time to ask you this question: is what do you think helps you stand out in this field where there are other practitioners helping people with emotional trauma or helping people with physical discomfort? What makes you different, and what do you think is kind of your, um, let's call it, your superpower in this area that makes you stand out?
So my superpower, I think that I do have a gift on helping, on many levels, but also the uniqueness of the program, if I can call it,
Yeah.
like it's because it's not just talk therapy. So a lot of psychotherapists, and it's no issue with them, but they are using just talk therapy and
Yeah.
some exercises, and the physical, ones, like the massage and the acupuncture. So they work just on the physical, but me combining all of those tools, and that is what I think that it's getting to the core of the issue and releasing it, and observing with so many that I work with, that when we address those three major components, at the unconscious level, neurologically and also energetically. So I think that is what is unique about my process.
Yes, for sure. So you said subconscious, energetic, and
Neurological.
neurological.
Hmm.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, because you don't often hear those things
Hmm.
talked about in terms of healing, whether it's emotional
Hmm.
healing or whether it's physical healing, right? So,
Hmm.
yeah, and let's talk a little bit more about this area of giftedness that you have too. You have all of this study that you've done, but it seems to me that there is an innate part of your being that, as you said, is able to kind of listen beyond the words and understand that there is something behind what might be presented to you. Do you feel that that's a natural gift that you have to see that, read that kind of energy from people?
Probably because when I work with them, and sometimes I express it, depends how open they are to hear that. Some they get scared, some they say, "No, I don't want to hear that."
Yeah.
It's I can hear, I can see, I can feel, and if they are open, I can express what I actually feel, and it's enough to say, a phrase or two, and at that time they open up even more. So
Mhm.
it's, people say that I have magical hands and I have magical way of helping them. I believe it is something that I received when I came into this world as a gift.
And do you feel, I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but
Yes.
do you feel that this is has fulfilled your potential far beyond being a surgeon?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I consider that, because I do my surgeries, removing energetically and, like at the unconscious level, all that it doesn't serve them.
Yeah.
It's huge. So, yeah, no, like I definitely feel that that was my actual life purpose. That's what I
Awesome.
feel it. I feel it deep it in my heart.
That's fantastic. I'm glad to hear that, because I do think that, to me, surgery is, I mean, I feel the same way about surgery and medication and all of those things, that's your last choice. I feel like there's lots of other things you should try first. So I love that you have found that fulfillment in a different way than you were searching for. Um, so I would love to. I'm going to wrap up with a little bit more detail about you at the very end of the call, including your book. We're going to talk about that. But right now, this is the part of the show where I love to show the audience how story can bring together some of these different elements that we've talked about in your personal life and your business, so that we can create a business story that helps create a deeper trust and a deeper conversation, perhaps with your clients, whether it's in a sales conversation or something that you might want to post on social media, um, to get people thinking. So share a story with me, kind of first thing that comes off the top of your head.
Hmm. One of the story is, like it's when I escaped Romania. What made me do that? Because of course it was very daring, and when you are young and you just have one thing in mind. For me, it was freedom, freedom of expression, freedom of reaching out for what my dreams are, which I felt that in Romania I'm stuck at that time. Yeah, so we are talking about 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
of course, like it's I went through a lot of fears, a lot of challenges into my quest to be here in Canada. And I remember that every single time my driving force, motivation was okay, like it's something there where I can be me, where I can be free to be me. And I remember even when I arrived in Canada and I came just, with the clothes that I had on, with my purse, my passport, and $200. And I said, no, I will make it here. I will really make it here. And I remember even my mom saying, like, it's, oh my God, when she came to visit me the first time, oh my God, like, it's, what are you doing here? Because I had a lot of good things in Romania. I was working for the Radio Broadcasting Corporation. So it wasn't like it's, but it wasn't my heart, it wasn't my soul there. So that is the story that always it's stuck in my mind. And it's what the fact that, when, even if it's hard, when you have that driven force and the motivation, you can do anything.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna take that information that you just gave me about leaving Romania, coming to Canada. I've jotted down some notes about that. I've jotted some notes down about these other things that you have shared with me about your life and your business. And I'm just, as I'm thinking all of this through, I'm just crafting up a story that I think you could use with this. So what I'm thinking is along the lines of something like this. If you are talking with a client, perhaps on the phone, who isn't sure that your services are going to help with the feelings that they've got kind of hiding under the surface, or that maybe they're nervous even about healing beyond the physical. I think this would be a great story that you could share in such a way as this, that from the time I was a little girl, I was always adventurous and very physically motivated. I wanted to be a figure skater and grew up thinking that I was going to be a surgeon, only to find that things in my life were not dictating the path that I thought I was going to be on. And I continued to follow the path where I felt like my heart was leading me. So even from a successful job that I had in Romania, I knew that I needed to find some way to express this gift of healing that I had in my body. And that path led me to Canada, where I then embarked on this discovery of several different modalities so that I could provide the healing and provide the breakthrough that I knew other people were going to need. Freedom often isn't what we think of. It's often something much bigger. And that's what I would like to be able to provide for your health and your emotional state of mind.
I love it.
So a story along the lines of something like that. It's always fun to, to take those kinds of stories. One of the things I do encourage people to think of is, as soon as you get some kind of objection or something on a sales call, where people might be afraid of letting go or working with you, one of the best ways you can overcome an objection is to share a story with them. So if it's a story around fear and overcoming fear, or that your path to your business wasn't the same maybe as their path to healing, it's maybe the expectations are different. Storytelling really aligns something different in the body that people then feel a resonance with you, and it helps to overcome that objection and redirect the conversation and kind of continue on that path. So I hope that's a helpful one for you. But what I want to do before we wrap up, because we are at 5 o'clock, I feel like I could talk to you about all of this stuff for a long time, but I want you to tell the audience where they can reach out and find you if they're curious to book a consultation with you, or just to see your website or anything like that, where they could get some more information. Where could people reach out to you, Luciana?
Absolutely. So my website is holistichealing.ca, Holistic spelled with W, so from the wholeness, yeah? So it's
Whole. Mhm.
WHOLISTIC,
Okay.
holistichealing.ca. And also they can call me at 647-924-2410. I'm happy to answer any questions they have.
Excellent. And you have a new book out. Tell us a little bit about
That's
your book.
right. Yes, I'm so excited that I published my book, The Phoenix Within, in August. It's not a novel. It's a self-healing workbook that I dedicated to all the women that suffered, either heartbreak or betrayal or a devastating breakup. And because I say that it's a self-healing workbook, every single chapter takes them from identifying the root cause that maybe they always avoided to look at, or maybe they didn't think about, identifying the negative emotions, understanding the cause and effect. It's another chapter. So learning that, blaming others, it will not actually help,
Mhm.
because we give away our power when we blame others. Another chapter, it's about boundaries, to realize what are their boundaries and be true to their boundaries. Another chapter, it's about values, like is what is important for them, the values that they will love to have in a relationship or in a career or health related.
Yeah.
So
Amazing. Where can people find this book, Luciana?
they are on many platforms. One of them is in Amazon, Kindle, and also if they love just the PDF file, it's right on my website as a PDF.
Okay. Yeah, very good. And so it's a workbook. So there's reading and then
It's
places
work,
to kind
literally
of,
work that they can do right on the book. Um,
very good.
yeah, as I included also the process of forgiveness here in the book as a chapter. It's a link to one of my guided meditations, the Ho'oponopono, which is from the shamanic Hawaiian tradition. It's another gift that it's in the book.
Very good. I say that Ho'oponopono prayer to myself almost every morning when I get up. It's a great way to start your day. So thank you so much for joining me, Luciana. So just to the audience, you can find her at holisticshealing.ca, and that's spelled WH as in whole, holistic healing. Of course, you see her here on LinkedIn and Facebook, so you can connect with her on these platforms. She's also on Instagram. Um, and you can get her book on Amazon, on her own website. And I thank you for joining us and listening into our conversation today. And I want to remind you that stories allow you to be authentic. You can hear how authentic Luciana is in her healing. She's not coming out with a sales pitch, she's just telling you about life. So, you don't need to follow social media trends or post things that AI tells you to put out there. Connecting your stories to a really purposeful message actually helps you to make those connections that you need to build the relationships that eventually lead to sales in your business. So everywhere you're connecting with people, let story be your guide. If you want to learn more about storytelling, please connect with me. And you can also download from my link in my bio a free story bio guided workshop that will help you just discover a little bit more about your story. So thank you for joining us today. We are going to say goodbye, and I hope that you catch up with Luciana and learn more about her.